get into your Chromebook, and like I said, either go to this link here that's in the agenda, or there's a link directly in Google Classroom. Okay, under the classwork right here, where it says Boom Interactive Quadratic Formula for today's number. I don't know why this is still grayed out. So, I mean, I don't know if you don't see it on your side. Anyway. So either one of those links should take you here to this Boom cards. Okay? Sign in with the student. You should be able to sign in with Google. Okay? Sign in with Google. Okay? If that you have to choose and it doesn't take you straight to a thing, then this is the assignment you're choosing, Intro to Quadratic Formula. For whatever reason, some people last class period, it took them straight to the assignment. And some of them, it gave them the list. Yep, that's it, or the notes. Yep. So when you get there, hit play. And you should see, whoop, this screen. Okay. On the very front of your foldable is the quadratic formula. Okay. What are we solving for when we're solving a quadratic formula? What are you going to put in this box right here? Nope. X. You're solving for X because we know that Y is already 0. So we're solving for X. Do you have your Chromebook? Oh, yeah. I just couldn't see it around you. So type in, fill in these blanks. You've got the notes there in front of you. So what goes in this box? X. What goes in this box? Negative B. And in this one? B. And then there's a box right here for what? Squared. What goes right here? A minus. And what's going to go in the last box? And on the bottom? Okay. If you put in any of these wrong, they will turn red. Okay. Now, before you keep going, I want you to look at your notes. Okay, up here at the top, oops. Okay. Up here at the top, you need to fill in these blanks. You do not have this. I put it there so that you wouldn't have to look back at the front cover. Okay, so what is going to go in this parentheses right here? This is on the inside of your notes. What's going to go there? A B. Okay, what goes in this next parentheses? B. And in this parentheses, A, and then C, and in the bottom, A. Okay, that this negative is part of the formula. This squared is part of the formula. This minus 4, part of the formula. And this 2, part of the formula. They never change. Those will always be there. The only things that are going to change are your numbers for your B, your A, and your C based on your problem. Just like in this example that's already worked out for you. So on your cards, this is your very first equation there for our example. So in the number 1 spot on your paper, write that equation. Okay, so I already have it written on my paper. In order to solve a quadratic, what do I first have to make sure? Not yet. The first step is to always make it equal what? 0. Has to equal 0. So how can I change this to equal 0? Add 5. Okay. Add 5 to both sides. Okay. Does that add to my x term? No. No. Right? It cancels out here. Does it add to my x squared term? No. No. So my 8x squared doesn't change. My plus 14x doesn't change. But now I have a plus 5, right, that I've had to add over there because I moved it to cancel it out on the other side. So which of your answer choices does that match on your screen? According to second period, they were scrambled. So by saying C or D or whatever, it's different on everybody's screen, I believe. So which one matches this?
8.
Okay, so pick it on your screen. Whichever one is correct on your screen. It may not be the same on everybody's screen. The little speaker in the corner you can turn off if you don't want the dinging, or you can turn the volume on your Chromebook off too if you don't want the dinging. Okay. So what is my A going to be? 8. What's my B?
14.
14. And my C? 5. So on your next screen, put those into those boxes. Okay. So you're going to put them on the screen, but you're also going to put them on your paper so that you have these notes. But after this first one that we walk through together, I'm going to let you do the next 2 on your own, and I'm going to walk around and see how you're doing on your notes. So what am I going to fill in now in my equation here? What's going to go in my formula in this first parentheses? 14. What's going to go in this next parentheses inside the
8.
14 also inside the, right? Both of those first ones are B's. Okay, and this next one after the 4, that one's the 8. And then the next 5. And down on the bottom, 8. Okay. On your screen, you will have to also put in the 4 and the 2 because it does not automatically have those for you. So On the next one, okay, some people may be getting ahead of us, and that's okay. So what is simplified going to be right here? Negative 14. What is simplified when I do 14 squared? Right, you have a box on your screen for that. What is it? 14 squared. 14 times 14? 196. And then what is negative 4 times 8 times 5? That goes in your next box here. Does it already have the minus for you, actually? Yep. Okay, so 160. And what's 2 times 8 on the bottom? 16. Okay, so that's our first step of simplification.
What? How do we go from how do we have 196 and 160 like that?
Okay, because this is the simplification of 14 squared. Right? Okay, and then this box right here is the simplification of 4 times 8 times 5. Okay, in the program, it already had the minus for you. Are you with us now, Caden?
Yes.
Okay, so now on your next slide, it has you simplify it again, right? Does the negative 14 change when I simplify it? No, it's still negative 14. What's underneath the radical now? 36. Okay, did my bottom change? No. Okay. Can I take the square root of 36? Yes. Okay, so what is that? 6. So we've got negative 14. And remember on Friday we talked about taking the square root of something can be a positive or a negative. That's why the plus or minus is there in the problem. Okay? That doesn't change the 16 in the bottom either. At this point, we separate it into two problems. This plus or minus means that it's negative 14 plus 6 over 16, or it's negative 14 minus 6 over 16. If you would, turn your little bell off right now while we're doing it as a class so that it's not distracting as you're getting ahead of where we're at as a class. So negative 14 plus 6 is what? Negative 8 over 16. What does that reduce to?
1 over 2.
Negative 1 over 2. Yep, my bigger number's on bottom, so it's going to stay a fraction. What is negative 14 minus 6? Negative 20 over 16. What does that reduce to? Negative 5 over 4. Okay, so when you get to your solutions page, do not only click one and hit submit, you have to click both of them before you hit submit. Okay, so select both of them. It will let you select more than one, and then hit submit. Then you will be at the next problem. And this is where I'm going to let you work this one out on your own, and I'm going to walk around and help answer questions. Make sure you're getting these notes down while that you, or do it on your paper and then do it on the Chromebook. And I'm going to take attendance, and then I will come around and answer any questions as needed. No Mackenzie today? Is she giving blood by chance? Do you know? I want you to be working these on your own. Okay, so I'll come around and answer any questions if you have them. But I want you to be trying to fill this out and figure it out on your own. Be sure that you write the equation down. That's always the first step. So I'm going to go ahead and work this one out for anybody who's still trying to get it on their notes. Okay. So we subtracted 4x from both sides to make it equal 0. Make sure you're combining it with the like term. Okay. If you're ahead and you don't need this walkthrough, then keep moving on. Okay. So this is the solution you should have picked from those 4 choices that you had on that example. So example number 2, you should have ended up with a -3 as your final answer. Notice that even if you worked both of them out, you got the same answer. What are some of you noticing that's different about the third problem? Okay. It just starts with a plain x squared. So what does that make your a equal? 1. Okay, we still have to make it equal to 0, right? So I've got x squared minus 8x plus 18 equals 0. How did I get the plus 18? I added 20 to both sides, right? So what does my a equal? We already said it's 1. And my b? A negative 8, right? And then C, 18. What happens in this second one when I have a negative 8? It becomes a positive 8. What happens when I square my negative 8? When you multiply a negative times a negative, you still get a positive, right? This is why it is important for you to put the parentheses around it when you put it on the calculator. This number right here, okay, that's squared, will always be positive because you can't square something and get a negative number. So this number that gets squared, the squared number, will always be positive. So this one is a positive 64. Then what is negative 4 times 1 times 18?
72.
So we've got a minus 72. What's going to happen underneath my radical? I get a negative what? 64 minus 72. 72 is bigger, isn't it? If I put the square root of negative 8 on my calculator, what does it tell me? Error or no real numbers exist. Okay. So what do you think the answer to this problem would be?
No solution.
No solution. Okay. It is because of this negative underneath the radical. Okay. This can't happen. Okay. If you get a negative underneath the radical, those are the ones that are no solution. They're the ones that do not go through the x-axis, so they have no intercepts. You can take the square root of a negative number, but it is not a real number. This is where imaginary numbers come into play. You will deal with imaginary numbers in Algebra 2. You do not deal with imaginary numbers in Algebra 1. So if you get a negative underneath a square root symbol, it's no solution. So finish filling out those things really quick. I'll give everybody just a couple more moments to finish filling out their interactive notes there. For those of you that are ahead, these are the next two problems that we're going to be working on. So you can get those started. We're going to do those together. And we've got 3 more examples to do together. They won't take very long, and then I'll give you your assignment. Your assignment will be on Go Formative. Does everybody have the notes on the board written on their personal paper so they can still finish filling out the interactive slide thing if that you need it? Is anybody still copying the notes from the board?
So this one, so it is a first step. And that's a 0. And that's a 4.
So example number 4. What's my A going to be? 1. What's my B? And my C? Did I have to rearrange this one? No. So in my first parentheses there is going to be what? That I have to fill in the blank. 3, right? Then in my second parentheses, 3. My next one, 1, and my next one, and on bottom, 1. So this reduces to -3, right? At first, 3 squared is what? 9. -4 times 1 times -2 gives me what? Okay, 4 times 1 times -2 is -8, but I have that minus sign, so minus a negative becomes a positive, right? 2 times 1 on bottom is 2. So what changes in the next step? What's the only thing that simplifies more? What? Underneath the radical? Is that what you mean, inside the box? Okay, yep. Okay, and it becomes what? 17. Does 17 simplify? Can I take the square root of 17 and simplify it at all? No, there's no factors because 17 is prime, so I can't do anything else with it. I do not want decimal answers. This is my answer. Okay, this is both answers because it has the plus minus. So it tells me whatever the -3 plus whatever the square root of 17 is divided by 2, and -3 minus the square root of 17 divided by 2. These are what is called exact answers. Okay? I want exact answers. The only time, okay, only time decimal answers for this type of problem is when it's a word problem. And we will deal with those on Wednesday. Okay? Otherwise, we are done. This is it. If that square root does not simplify anymore, we are done at that step. You can stop right there. So look at number 5. What's my A going to be there? 8. And my B? And my C? 1. So fill in your little thing. Is this one going to simplify any more after this step? No. Is everybody done with number 4? Can I scroll up somewhere? Abigail, would you nudge Haley to get her head up? On where? 49 minus 32? Well, you would, which is a minus. No, you only have one negative right here. Did you put it in as -4?
Yeah.
Then you accounted for your minus already. Okay. That's a good thing to notice. If when you put it in your calculator, you include that minus as a -4 when you're multiplying, you've already accounted for that negative. You've already accounted for your subtraction. If you do not put that in, okay, and you just do 4 times 8 times 1, then that minus is still there and you did not account for it. Okay, so pay attention to however you put it in your calculator will determine whether or not this needs to stay minus or be plus. Okay, last example. Okay, what is my A? Positive. I have my B, a -2, and my C is -8. So a -2 out front there becomes a +2, right? A -2 squared is a +4. So 4 plus 160 is 164 a perfect square.
Yes.
No, it is not. Okay, what factors do I have of 164 that I can make into 2 radicals like we did on Friday to simplify it? So my factors are 4, right? 9. My perfect square is 4, 9, 16. Do any of those go into 164? 4 does. So 4 times what?
41.
41. 41 is a prime number, which means there's not going to be any other factors that go into it. So what's the square root of 4? 2. So in this step right here, we are going to have 2 plus or minus 2 square roots of 41. Still over 10. So notice that because we could factor and simplify, okay, we do have another step this time. Okay, so we couldn't just stop there because it wasn't a perfect square. We still have to simplify it as much as we can. Because we have to simplify it as much as we can, we're still not done. We don't care about what's underneath the radical, but we do care about those, the 2, 2, and the 10. Can those all be reduced by a number? 2. They have to all be able to be reduced by the same number, and they can all be reduced by what? 2. So we are going to reduce this. 2 divided by 2 is what? 1. Okay, plus or minus 1 again. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Divided by, what is 10 divided by 2? 5. So this is the most simplified answer. Okay, this one is still correct. This one is still technically correct. I mean, you could all go all the way back. They're all technically correct. This one is the most simplified. So I'm going to come around and hand you, it is on Go Formative. It will tell you if you are correct or not. After after you submit it. So you have to go through it one time, submit it, and then, it will let you go back in and edit and fix any mistakes. Those notes and that colored printout need to go in your journal. So your homework has 8 problems on it. It is in Go Formative. And on the back, you have to figure out where the mistake was, if there was one. Okay? Again, it is in Go Formative. You will have to show your work in Go Formative. Okay? I've already put a fill in the blank thing on Go Formative, so you just have to type in the numbers where they should go in the blanks.